It's September the 11th picks edition of the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with the promo code MLB SGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We are also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Tuesday, the 10th of September. We are here to handicap the main action for Wednesday, September the 11th. Joining me from somewhere in New York is Mr. Dylan Rockford. D-Rock, how the hell are you?
A lot of people would be hoping I would be bad today because the Jets lost and whatnot, but doing well. Positive. Mets are doing good still in the playoffs right now. So people could try to take me down, but they will never get me down, Malcolm, never.
I didn't catch up with the Jets game. I saw the score. The fact that Christian McCaffrey didn't play absolutely saved my arse in that guillotine league. So I was over the moon with that. I signed off last night with Munaf talking about guillotine sweat. And then I just happened to check the actives and the inactives, and McCaffrey saved my bacon. Magic Man Blanco, he was a bit of an SGPN legend if you've listened to Sean and Ryan for a long time. Magic Man Blanco faced the Blade last night. Christian McCaffrey got him chopped and saved my bacon. But I didn't actually catch up with the game, Dylan. Jets, any good, Aaron Rodgers?
Better. We saw signs. Better. He didn't get hurt after 4 plays, so there's a plus. You just got to spin into a positive. It's early, defending, going up against a team that when it was in the Super Bowl. I saw a lot of good things, but I also saw a lot of bad things as well. So stuff to improve on. But yeah, I definitely saw some good.
Tell you what, though, the New York Mets. We're going to get to the Mets first.
Yeah.
Actually, I've got quite a lot of Mets notes.
I love it.
I backed them last week, Dylan, at 33-1. The same night I backed the Padres. You told me that I should bet the Mets, and I did at 33s. And they're now into 18s, so I've already stolen the value, Dylan. I feel like I'm one step ahead. And I will like to pre-warn anyone who's listening to this show, I have been to the pub. I wasn't intending to go to the pub, but a mate of mine who was visiting from New Zealand, good old friend of mine, lives in New Zealand now, and he's back for 1 week for a little wedding, and messaged me at tea time and said, have you got a couple of hours to go to the pub? So I beat the pub, had a few beers. I have returned home and poured myself this whiskey to avoid getting dehydrated in the next 45 minutes. So if we do slightly wander off topic, you can blame the beer. But yeah, Gio in the chat mentioning just how tight the games seem to be. Myself and Munaf did struggle to split them, but just loads of fun. Really looking forward to the last couple of weeks of baseball. Very much looking forward to it. As we mentioned, NFL and college football in full swing. Make sure you subscribe to the Sports Gambling Podcast and the College Football Experience for free picks for every game against the spread. And we will start the Wednesday action with your New York Mets, Dylan. There's a couple of afternoon games that go off prior to this, which is the Marlins and the Pirates. The Marlins TBD and Bailey Falter for Pittsburgh, not hugely interested. And then Cleveland to the White Sox. Obviously, we've sort of left the White Sox well alone. Matt Boyd is going again for Cleveland tomorrow. A name I seem to have been handicapping forever on this show, Matt Boyd, but has come back out of nowhere and pitching relatively well. So I've got no reason to not want to take Matt Boyd and the Guardians. But this game is a 3:07 Eastern first pitch. It is the New York Mets at the Toronto Blue Jays. Sean Manaea, left-handed pitcher for the Mets. Bowden Francis, one of my current favourites, going for the Toronto Blue Jays. And the books have it close with the Blue Jays at even money. The Mets at -118, and the total sitting at 8.5. This is probably the game I had most notes on for a couple of reasons. I'm quite into the Mets at the moment, and I'm very into Bowden Francis. The Mets, Dylan, have the third best team ERA since the start of July. Actually, we've got the best in the National League. There's a couple of EL teams ahead of them. But do you not, just before we get into this particular game, Dylan, the Mets, this feels like a good spot for the Mets in the plucky underdog spot is better for them. A couple of years ago, when Matey came and spent all the money, what's his name?
All
the money. The owner, the big boss man.
Yeah, the guy who got fired. Yeah, I forgot his name. I don't know.
Yeah. They were going to spend a gazillion quid in the did and have the best team in the world. That doesn't feel like a New York Mets thing to me. This feels like a New York Mets thing. The plucky underdogs, they're hovering around in the shadows, they're squeezing into a wild card place and then making run. This feels like the New York Mets that we should be rooting for. And if you look back to May, nearly on a nightly basis, we were all having a little go at you and having fun at your expense, and you were just as down in the dumps about the Mets. And then all of a sudden, they've won 10 and 11 again, a 9-win streak. Then they had a loss, and then all of a sudden, they're back in the chair again. So they bounced back from that loss. This feels like just a good news story happening, and I think the Mets are better in this position than being front runners, being the big team in the division. Sean Manaea's only really good start late, he was against the White Sox 2 starts ago, which doesn't really count. But everything else is fine. He gives up 3 or 4 earned runs, but he's very often going 6 2/3 or 7 innings. And that makes 3 or 4 earned runs manageable. He keeps New York in the game. The Mets are 8-1 in his last 9 starts. He's been very good on the road, 2.90 ERA. And now we talk about Bowden Francis because he's been absolutely on our radar for the last few weeks. We've talked sort of half-jokingly about him being the strikeout leader for 2025. He's going to have to go something to beat Paul Skeens, by the way, who racked up his 150th strikeout last night in what seems like about 10 starts or something silly. Francis gave up 3 earned runs against Philly last time, and that represents actually another good effort. He had won 4 in a row before that, where he'd only given up 2 earned runs in 29 pitches. This is a really good matchup, one of the matchups of the night, actually. But the Mets have won 10 and 11. They have the edge on offense. They have the edge in the bullpen. They're in very good form. Last night, the Mets, the Monday night game, the Mets won because the Blue Jays made mistakes. How many times do we talk about the Blue Jays and the fundamentals, and it cost them again? It's another tick in the box. And the Blue Jays can't beat lefties. They're 12 and 19 straight up against left-handed pitchers. I don't want to get in the way of the New York Mets still, and give me the Mets at -180.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree. I couldn't agree more with you. I made him a -120 favorite, so right at my number. But, Sean Manaea, I feel like he's looked great this last 2 months, especially on the road. I mean, even he only had 1 bad start versus the Marlins, I think a few months back ago. But I really like him. I think he's going to go get paid this season. And you mentioned he goes long into games as well. I like his over out props. It sits around like 16, 17 and a half. But if he's going 6 2/3, 7 innings in games, he's going to fly over that number, give a little relief to that bullpen. So I like that. I agree with you. And I like Bowden Francis as well. I think he has good stuff. But the Blue Jays, my problem with trying to back them and get cute sometimes, they just struggle to score runs in general. Even when Francis is at home, since becoming, like, I guess, a starter, they haven't scored more than 3 runs at home for Francis at all. And overall, they've only scored more than 3 runs 1 time in his 7 starts. So I don't trust their offense against a team like the Mets, who, like you said, kind of that underdog role, who just fight and claw their way. I love them on the road. which is why I really like them in the playoffs, because they don't have to just go to Citi Field and win. They could go on the road and win as well. So I like it. You mentioned the Mets bullpen. I think they've gotten low-key a little better as well on this run. And just the way Manaea's been pitching recently. You mentioned Blue Jays they can't win against lefties. They can't hit against lefties either. So I like his out prop. I think he's going to go long into this game. I think this is a really good spot for them. His strikeout prop usually sits around 5.5, 6.5. So depends. If it is 5.5 like it was last game, I do like the over, but I agree. I can't get in front of this Mets train right now. So -118, I agree. I'm going to take the Mets.
Listen to us, Dylan, sitting here in the second week in September,
It's
both
amazing.
being so confident about the New York Mets. What have you done, mate?
I love it.
I'm absolutely appalled at what's going on. Get in. Next game will be a 3:40 Eastern first pitch between the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. This is a cheeky little pitching matchup as well. Left-handed pitcher Cody Bradford for the Rangers. For the Diamondbacks, it will be Merrill Kelly who draws the start. The Snakes are -148. Texas +126. Total, Dylan, is 8.5.
Yeah, this game, like you said, good matchup. I made the D-backs a -170 favorite here at home. Outside of that start against the Dodgers, I feel like Merrill Kelly has been really good at home in his few starts. Small sample size. But, I just think this is a good spot for him and this lineup. The Snakes, they rake against left-handed pitching, hitting 280 on the year. And Cody Bradford, he hasn't looked terrible. He does go deep into games, but I think this might be a bad spot for him. The Rangers, they have played well at home, but now going on the road against this lineup, I just don't think this is a good spot for them. And same thing for the D-backs, coming back home after that long road trip against a Ranger team, I think it's going to help them get back on track, back into the win column. I also lean over 8.5. My total came out to 9.1. So I do like this. Over is 9-1 in the D-backs last 10. Two rough bullpens as well. So Rangers, even though they've been losing, they've been scoring a lot of runs as well. So I actually lean over 8.5. I think we could see some runs, but like I said, I made the D-backs a -170 favorite.
A little bit like, Dylan, I don't want to get in front of the Mets. I don't want to get in front of the D-backs either. They've been so good. They actually lead the league in runs per game, the Diamondbacks, on the season. Since the start of July, Eugenio Suarez leads the league in homers and RBIs. And that's a name. I don't think we've mentioned his name in the last 3 or 4 months. They've got loads of stuff going on. Saying that, I don't mind Bradford. He goes 6 or 7 innings every start. He's max 3 earned runs, very often fewer. His August and September ERA has been under 3. Merrill Kelly's serviceable, if not as sharp as he can be. They've lost 3 of his last 4, but he is better at home. And it's a really good matchup. It's a nice game, this one. But I can't ignore that Arizona offense, Dylan. I can't get in front of the D-backs again. -148. I do like the runs angle as well, as you say. But yeah, I'm going to take Arizona here at -148. Underdog Fantasy, one of our favourite sponsors here. Give you a chance to win 1,000 times your entry. The NFL is back, and there's a ton of pick'em specials to get you started. I mean, I gave out Adam Thielen higher just about every night last week. Cashed easy. Come on, pay attention, everyone. Use our code MLB SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code MLB SGPN. We're going to squeeze past the Rockies and the Tigers. The Rockies have no pitcher, and it is Casey Myers going for the Tigers. Not much going in that one. We'll go to a 6:40 Eastern first pitch between the Tampa Bay Rays and the Philadelphia Phillies. Shane Baz for the Rays and Zach Wheeler draws the start for the Phillies. We have lines of +166 for Tampa Bay. For Philly, it will be Philly a -198, and I have missed the total here. 7.5 is the total on this one. I like Shane Baz. he's fairly consistent. He's had 3 good starts in a row. 18 and 2/3 with only 3 earned runs in that spell. Where Baz falls foul is that the Tampa Bay Rays offense don't give him any help. They just don't score enough runs for him. He's faced tough opposition as well. 2.76 ERA on the road in 6 games started. Zach Wheeler for Philly has just been outstanding. His last 5 starts, he's given up 1-0, 2-2, and 1. Good length, lots of strikeouts. It's just impossible to fault. It's impossible to pick apart what Wheeler's been doing. Kyle Schwarber, by the way, is flying for the Phillies. 6 home runs in his last 7 starts for Schwarber. Philly will probably win, but I think they might have to leave it late in the game because I think Baz will be okay. Minus 198 is a skinny price to take. I'm going to take a first 5 under, Dylan. Like I say, I think Philly will get it done, but they might just have to wait a little while to do it. So I'll take a first 5 under.
Yeah, I made the Phillies a minus 190 favorite here at home with Wheeler on the mound. I feel like he's been fantastic at home this season. Outside of that game against the Yankees in late July, he hasn't given up more than 2 runs in 7 straight starts. So he's been on fire lately. I think this is a good start for Wheeler. Rays, there's another team struggling to score some runs right now. They're only hitting 224 off of right-handed pitching, averaging around just 3.8 runs per game. I just feel like that's not a recipe for wins, especially against an offense like the Phillies on the road. That's not good. And Shane Baz, you like you mentioned, he's been good. I don't think he's been terrible. He'll give up 2 to 3 runs. Walks can be an issue for him. Maybe look towards a walk prop. But, I think the Phillies roll here later in the game. I think they pull away. If you're able to get some plus money, I saw plus 112 out there. If you're able to get any plus money, I think Philly's run line would be a nice play.
Okie doke. A few more people kicking around in the chat. Gio was first in. Gio, how you doing? Callum, loyalty card stamped. Premier League show is back tomorrow. And Norris for the Wicked fancies the Detroit Pistons to win today. Are they actually playing, Dylan, or is that some sort of tongue-in-cheek comment? Is the basketball going on?
Yeah, no, it's a tongue-in-cheek. We're 6 weeks away from NBA.
Okay, just establishing. Yeah, I'm going to choose the Detroit Pistons as my team. And Adrian Alfaro has just joined us. He wants to fade Spaghetti Goes. I'm guessing that's Spencer Arrighetti. Is Spencer Arrighetti going tonight? He cost me last week. I'm talking through my pocket. Spencer Arrighetti, I was on the wrong side of last week, so we'll see what he's going to do in a couple of hours' time. 6:45 Eastern first pitch is the Atlanta Braves at the Washington Nationals. Left-handed pitcher Max Fried goes for Atlanta. It will be Jake Irvin who goes for Washington, who are plus 142. The Braves minus 168 road favourites. Dylan, the total is 7.5.
Yeah, I made the Braves a minus 185 favorite here. Even though Fried does struggle a little more on the road than he does at home, I do think they're the right side. As much as I think, there are times where we can back the Nationals, I just don't think this is one of the spots, especially with Jake Irving on the mound. I don't trust him at all. I thought early on in the season he was backable, but ever since July hit, he hasn't looked good, in my opinion. Back-to-back starts, he's given up 6+ runs. Nationals, they've lost his last 3 starts. And Braves, they're fighting. They're fighting for a playoff spot. I know they're dealing with some injuries right now, but they need this win, So Fried, he's already had a very dominant win against this national team a few starts ago. So I'd take the Braves here. I think we are getting a shorter price. Maybe Nationals team total under 3.5. But I like the Braves here. Maybe one of, like you say, maybe one of those unit and a half type of plays.
I'm going to zag a little bit here, Dylan, where people are zigging. I looked at this game and instinctively wanted the under. We talked last night, Atlanta just under. Everyone wants the under in Atlanta because it's been cashing. They want it for a reason. So I was looking for a reason to change, a reason to get off it. Max Fried's been great. He's another who's going 7 innings regularly. He He's held Philly twice in his last 4 starts. 7 scoreless against the Blue Jays last time out. He's got a 3.19 road ERA. The key to this game really is Cole Irvin. Now, Jake Irvin, was rocked last time. Oh, sorry, his last twice for 13 earned runs. He did see Atlanta on August the 24th, pitched 5 1/3 and gave up 2 earned runs. But under the bonnet, Irvin's metrics are okay. 121 whip is kind of passable. If he keeps his walks down, both of these are under teams as well. So we know Atlanta are under team, but Washington are the same. So that total is low. Now, I made these notes and I made this pick before I saw the total, and it is a little bit on the skinny side, but I'm going to stick with it. I think Irvin deserves a little bit better than his numbers have been giving him lately. So we'll stick with an under 7.5. Next up, 7:05 Eastern, is the Kansas City Royals at the New York Yankees. Left-handed pitcher Cole Reagans will go for the Royals, and it will be Luis Hill for the Yankees, who are minus 154. Reagans and the Royals plus 130, with the total sitting at 8. I may have mentioned once or twice that I've got a Cole Reagans strikeout leader prop. He is 9 behind Chris Sale. So we really need Reagans to throw a 16 strikeout game here. Come on, Cole. You can do it. Slightly erratic Reagans lately. 0, 5, 1, 4, 1. Alternating between win-loss. But he's better on the road. And he can keep it in the park. I think that's important, especially left-handed pitcher in New York, that little short porch. Reagans can keep the ball in the park. So I think he's going to keep Kansas City competitive here. Luis Hill came back from the 15-day IL with the 6-inning scoreless effort against the Cubs last time. And he does look in control when he's healthy. He's been good at home. Now, I think the Royals, on Monday night, the Royals would have been really disappointed to have given away. They had the lead of that game in the 7th inning. I woke up and saw the score 10-4, and it looks like the Yankees have battered them. They hadn't. The Royals made a few errors. They were 4-3 up in the 7th. I'm going to back them again. The Yankees have got a losing record against left-handed pitching as well. So there's a few ticks and boxes here. And I think the Royals are a nice price at plus 130, Dylan.
Yeah, I was on them on Monday as well. I thought they were live, and they kind of blew the game, in my opinion. This is another game where I just think it's mispriced. I only made the Yankees a minus 115 here at home, so getting a plus 130 underdog price with Cole Reagans definitely has some value for me. So I'm going to be on the dog here as well. I actually think Reagans has been better on the road than he has been at home this season. And outside of that start against the Astros on the road, I think he's been backable, especially if they're going to hang a plus 130 for him. So, I think, honestly, just pairing it up between the two lineups, I think the Royals are the better hitting team overall. Yankees, they struggle to hit left-handed pitchers. And like you mentioned earlier, Royals were winning the game 1 early on. Their bullpen winded up blowing it late. But as long as their bullpen isn't terrible, I think they might ask Cole Reagans to go a little longer if needed. I think based on the value, you have to take the Royals here. So in a coin flip game, I'm going to take the plus 130 in the Royals.
Yes, Dylan. On the same page again, Bobby Witt Jr. against Aaron Judge. Very much one of the stories of the week in that series. Next up is the Baltimore Orioles at the Boston Red Sox, which is a 7:10 Eastern first pitch. Dean Kramer for the Baltimore Orioles, and handing the ball for Boston will be Nick Pivetta. Baltimore are even money, plus 100. Boston minus 118. Total D-Rock is 9.5.
Yeah, I really didn't feel comfortable backing either side. Both teams aren't particularly playing well. Red Sox still under 500 at home. I'd rather attack the total, take the over 9.5. My total came out to 9.9. This is a fade on both pitchers, not just one, both pitchers and this Red Sox bullpen. Over is 4-0 in Dean Kramer's last 4 road starts. he's another guy. He'll give up anywhere from 3 to 4 runs. Walks can be an issue for him as well. And, I think this is an opportunity for this Red Sox team to score some runs here. That, they put up 12 runs the other night. And I know on the other side, the Orioles, they really are struggling to score some runs here recently, but I feel like they should get at least 2 to 3, maybe even 4 runs off of Pivetta. He gives around 4 runs per game on the road as well, or at home, excuse me. So, overs have been profitable for the Orioles on the road, 41 and 25 towards the over. So I think we could see a shootout here. 2 below average pitchers with 2 top 10 lineups. I would take the over. I don't trust either side.
I know what you mean. I don't trust Baltimore because myself and Munaf chatted last night that I didn't realise how average they've been lately. It was 17 and 18 in the last 35.
Yep.
Lost on Monday, so 17 and 19 in the last 36. Dean Kramer's been generally consistent. 6 scoreless last time against the Rays. But what I looked at here with Pivetta is that he was good at home last time against the White Sox. Doesn't count. But 6 of his last 8 starts have been on the road. And his last 2 home starts have been good. So I think building on that road start against the White Sox, it's just a quirk of the schedule that he's been on the road so often. So the fact that Pivetta gets another road start here, he will be a little bit happy. Boston got a good win on Monday against Baltimore. And Baltimore have just been bang average lately. So I think the values with Boston. I'm going to take Boston here at minus 118. Next game on the card is we're going to skirt past the Angels at the Twins. That's all right. I'm pleased we get to skirt past this one. It's 2 pitchers who've had me scratching my head lately. Jack Koshanovitz for the Angels and Zebby Matthews for the Twins. Zebby Matthews, a rookie who they appear to be possibly mishandling. And I can't get Koshanovitz right, so happy to skirt past that. The Reds and the Cardinals have TBD pitches. So we'll get to an 8:10 Eastern first pitch between the Oakland Athletics and the Houston Astros. Bit of a late pitching change here for the Athletics. I had handicapped JP Sears, but now we're seeing Joey Estes going for Oakland, and Hunter Brown will go for the Houston Astros. I think this pitching change has caught the books out a little bit as well, because I'm not seeing any lines here. So possibly a shorter handicap than I'd planned. Joey Estes is struggling on the road. 6.66 road ERA for Joey Estes. Been really good at home, been really good in certain spots. I've enjoyed watching him. I've enjoyed backing him occasionally. Struggling a little bit here, though. And especially as Hunter Brown continues a really strong sequence he's putting together. 6 scoreless last time against the Reds. That is 2 earned runs in 25 2/3 in his last 4 games started. The offensive metrics all point to Houston. I think they're very, very worthy favourites here. I actually quite liked the first 5 under when it was JP Sears, because his metrics or his numbers pointed towards that. And Hunter Brown's 16 and 10 straight up to the under as well, and the first 5 under. But the presence of Estes has just mangled that a little bit. I think Houston, like I say, worthy favourites against Estes on the road. Probably money line, probably run line would be my pick as well. But this pitching change has thrown my picks into a little bit of flux still.
Yeah, just like you, I handicapped JP Sears as well. It's actually not going to change the handicap for me much. Boring play, but Astros minus 1.5. I was able to get plus 112 with JP Sears. It's down to minus 102, and I think for good reason. But yeah, Hunter Brown real quick. I think he's really come along this last month and a half. He really hasn't allowed more than 2 runs since the end of July, just 1 time in the last 10 starts, including a dominant performance against this A's team. And that was on the road. So coming back home, I think he's really going to limit the bats for the A's. And Joey Estes on the road, he's just, you really can't back this guy. So Yeah, most of my handicap was to fade JP Sears, but I'm gonna fade regardless of who's going. If you could still get some plus money out there, I would take Astros run line, or maybe you want to put Astros in one of your parlay pieces. But I do think the Astros are the right side.
If you've ever wanted to create your own sports betting model for football, Rhythm are here to help you do it. One of our favourite partners here, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform. Helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. You can build your own model, or you can copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard. Loads of stats, research, and trend analysis to give you even more betting insights. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Next up is 9:40 Eastern first pitch. Good looking matchup here between the San Diego Padres and the Seattle Mariners. Michael King for the Padres and Bryan Woo for the Mariners. Plus 120 Milwaukee, minus... Oh, hang on. No, sorry. It's a match. I'm looking at Milwaukee here. It's a match. It's the Padres minus 108, Seattle minus 108. Total, Dylan, is right down there, 6.5.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier the Mets and the Blue Jays kind of was a hard handicap. I felt like this game was a hard handicap to make a play on, in my opinion. I like both pitchers. I get why the total opened at 6.5. My total came out to 6.7. So slightly over. The Mariners offense seems to kind of woken up this past week, scoring double digits in 2 of the last 5 games. He scored a total of 38 runs in the past 5 days, and that's where they had one game where they were held with a 0. So, well, they're scoring some runs here. I never thought I'd say that. And, the Padres, they've lost 3 of the last 4, but, they're still scoring runs in these games, 3+ runs in 5 straight games. So I think both teams are going to be able to score some runs here. I know we got 2 really good pitchers in Bryan Woo and Michael King, but like you, I'm going to zig where I think others are going to zag. I'm going to take the over 6.5. I think it's just a little too small.
I am absolutely delighted you came down on that side, Dylan. That's exactly my handicap as well. This was another game where I instinctively wanted the under, and I then asked the stats if they could steer me away from it. And they did, actually. King has not given up over 2 earned runs in his last 5 games. He still needs to limit his walks a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Wu gave up 4 earned against the Dodgers on August the 31st, but that's his only dodgy start in his recent game log as well. King, Wu, and Seattle are all strong trends towards the under, but in the last 30 days, Seattle have been much better. Much better. Offensively, let's have a look. Both teams, 4.7 runs per game in the last 30 days. So if my maths are right, that's 9.4 as a total, Dylan, for a start. The bullpens have been good, but not infallible. The Seattle bullpen gives up loads of home runs.
Mm-hmm.
So the Padres can definitely hit one out there. My final line on this was, Dylan, the books are going to hang a lazy 7, and I'm going to take the over. Well, I overestimated because the books have hung a lazy 6.5. So that, in that case, I'm absolutely delighted to take the over. 9:45 Eastern first pitch is the penultimate game on the show here between the Milwaukee Brewers and the San Francisco Giants. We have Colin Rea for the Brewers and Blake Snell, left-handed pitcher, will go for the Giants. Plus 120 for the Brewers, minus 142 San Francisco with a total of 7. Rea, I wasn't sure if Rea was possibly tiring a little bit towards the end of the season. He's only gone 4 innings in his last 2 starts. He's thrown 150 innings now, Colin Rea, but his numbers are still good. And really, there's no other red flags. That was an instinct thing for me. That was an eye test thing rather than a stats thing. That I just thought he might be flagging a little bit as he hit September. Looking at Blake Snell, he had a really weird start last time. He threw 42 pitches in the first inning. against Arizona. Not necessarily his fault as well. The Giants made a couple of errors on defense that left him out there for ages, and he got pulled. That was him after the first inning. He's 0-2 in his career against the Brewers with an ERA of 8. He got hit by Seattle 3 starts ago, and I just don't think I want to back him. The Giants are scoring 3.6 runs per game in the last 30 days. That's really bad. The Brewers are averaging 1 run a game more than that in that span. I think it's Snell's name on the card might make the Brewers value here. Plus 120 for the Brewers. I think we're getting the better team, Dylan. I'm happy to take Milwaukee.
Yeah, the line is moving, but I do like the Giants here at home. I was able to get a minus 134. We got someone in the chat also saying why we say that. I think it's just transparency, if I'm being honest. Speaking for myself, I'm not going to tell you something I didn't get. That would be that wouldn't be right either. So yeah, I got a minus 138, but I did make him a minus 140 favorite here at home. It is getting up there in price though. It's not just Snell on the mound for me. I also haven't liked what I've seen from this Brewers team lately. Struggling to score some runs. They've lost 4 of the last 5 games now. And, going on the road against the Giants ace, I don't think it's a good spot for them. You don't want to face Snell at home. He's given up a total of just 2 total runs in his last 6 starts at home. At home is kind of where you want to back the Giants. On the road, you really don't want to back the Giants, in my opinion. I think they are the right side, but I would just pay attention to the price. I think it is getting up there. Money will probably continue to come on him just based on name recognition alone. So I lean here with the Giants.
Okay, so a little bit of a crossfire in that one. Final game here is a Cowboy time 10:10 Eastern first pitch between the Chicago Cubs and the LA Dodgers. TBD here for the Dodgers, although we see Jordan Wicks, left-handed pitcher, confirmed for Chicago. I think it's Bobby Miller going for the Dodgers here, who are priced up at minus 162. With the Cubs at plus 136 and a total sitting at 9. I know Bobby Miller, his place in the rotation was thrown into question with the activation of Yamamoto, but we still think he's going to go tomorrow. I'm not sure, Dylan. I'd be wanting to take minus 162 with the form Bobby Miller's been in.
Yeah, not at all. I think here with the Cubs being this big of an underdog, I think it is worth a sprinkle. I only made the Dodgers a minus 130 favorite, but, instead of maybe the full game, maybe take the Cubs first 5 plus a half. Bobby Miller just hasn't been good, to say the least, for the Dodgers. He's given up 3+ runs in 5 straight games, 6 of his last 8 games overall. He's a guy that gives up a ton of hard contact. The long ball's a problem. Walks are a problem. And Cubs are fighting for a playoff spot. Another team desperate for a win. The offense has gotten better this past month. They've scored double digits twice the past 5 days as well. And Jordan Wicks hasn't been terrible on the road. I think the Cubbies here are live. If this is the number at plus 130, I'm going to remove the bullpens away from it. I'm just going to take the Cubs first 5 plus a half. I think they're live.
I've got the Cubs as well, Dylan. Absolutely. Jordan Wicks, this is his 3rd start since his recall on September the 1st. 2 decent efforts against the Yankees and the Nationals in his previous 2. Bobby Miller just not got it at all, though. 7-3, 3 and 4 earned runs since he came back. He walked 3 batters in each of his last 2 starts. Needs to sort that out. The Cubs' offense has just gone wild. They scored 10 more on Monday. And Cody Bellinger absolutely owns the Dodgers, by the way. But the LA Dodgers offense against Wicks is a worry. So I like the Cubs at plus 136. But I think the over's a great play at 9. And I think, Dylan, we have made it to the end of the show. Do you want to try and fetch us out a lock and a dog?
Yeah, so I actually liked a couple of dogs. Like I said, I think Cubs are live. What What else did I like? I like the Astros if you're on the run line, if you're able to get plus money. But I can't keep coming back to this team, fading the Yankees here, taking Cole Ragans and the Royals at plus 130. I think it's tremendous value. Like I said, I only made the Yankees a minus 115 favorite. They should have had game one here, and I think the books are going to continue to misprice this series. So if you're able to get this nice plus money, I like the Royals here as my dog. For my lock, let's do it. Let's lock up the Mets. You don't want to get in front of the hottest team in baseball right now.
You're doing it,
Sean Manaea, he's been dealing. I like Bowden Francis. I really do. I think he's going to be good. I like his stuff. But against a Blue Jay team at home who's just struggling to score runs right now, I can't back them. I find it hard for them to score runs and keep up with the Mets tomorrow. So going to take the Mets at the money line minus 118.
Oh, Dylan, I can't believe you've done that, man. You're insane. Okay, let me have a little look around here. I mean, the Royals stand out as a dog. I'm going to take the over, in fact, in the Padres Seattle game. That's 6.5. If I can find a 6.5, I've seen it. I haven't personally, in one of my local books, been able to find it. That's a consensus line. But it just feels instinctively too low because Seattle have been much better lately. The Seattle bullpen concerns me. So I think you can get to the over 6.5. And I was happy to take the over 7, which is what I thought the line would be. As a dog, I think you got to take the Cubs. Jordan Wicks. My concern with Jordan Wicks is it's not on anything he's done. My concern is I'm just not convinced about his potential. My concern with Bobby Miller is absolutely on the evidence of what he's done. So I think the Cubs at a big price here at plus 136. We can go for an underdog. Dylan, let's get somebody to hit one out. Dingers. Give us a home run hitter, please.
Yeah, so we're going to go back to that Houston and Oakland game. I'm going to take Alex Berkman to hit a home run. You know, he has great career numbers versus JP. Well, it was JP's here. So fuck it. It's all messed up now. But even against Joey Estes, who struggles on the road, I think Alex Berkman, he just hit one last night as well. I think this is a good spot for him. I had all the numbers against JP series, but I mean, they threw a curveball at us, literally. So I'm going to take, I'll still keep Alex Berkman, though. I think you could take one.
Okay, Alex Bregman for you. Right, I'm going to have to go on the fly here. Let's have a look at I'm going to eliminate them one by one. Kyle Schwarber stands out slightly. Ooh, I might be in straight away here. Who's pitching for the Braves tomorrow? Irvin. Jorge Soler is a potential option. Marcell Ozuna's in a proper drought of home runs. Aaron Judge stands out. Jason Dominguez I gave out for tonight. It's nice to show you're working live on here. Let's go with Jorge Soler for the Braves, who take on, where are they tomorrow? Sorry. Where are the Braves? I've lost my page. Yeah, it is Irvin. Irvin of the Nationals. Jorge Soler is going to hit one out. So there you go. Dylan, thank you for that. Anything you want to tell the people about before we let you go?
No, do we get a win this weekend with Forest? I know they got a tough one against Liverpool, right?
Oh, mate. I don't know if you can get a win. You might. They've been good, you know. They've started the season quite well. This might, being kind, Dylan, this might be a bad spot for Nottingham Forest. Let's put it that way.
That's not something I want to hear.
You make? Yeah, sorry, mate. You 68. Maybe get a win out the Jets. I think Jets are more likely than Forest. Newcastle away at Wolves. Bit of a tricky one. So there you go. Somebody's back tomorrow with the show. I'm not sure who it is, but it's not me. Gio, appreciate you getting involved. Norris, Adrian made me laugh as well. Steve's been live in the chat. We appreciate that. Steve, by all means, like, rate, review, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. And until the next time, we will see you down the road. Cheers.